Good afternoon, Dr. Murillo and Mr. LaFerla. I want to thank you so much for joining me in this conversation today about the 10 leadership standards and how you are implementing them here in Council Bluffs. Describe the thinking process you use as you introduce these standards to your board.
As I begin to think about how to prepare for the introduction to the board members, I thought about how I could take the large document and then kind of chunk it down into smaller segments for them. And as I printed the materials off, I decided to take a self-assessment of where I felt like the district was and I was as a leader and the superintendent of Council Bluffs. So I began to highlight so that as I began to walk the board through each one of the standards, they could see not only the standards and understand what we were measuring or what they were evaluating on, but they could kind of begin to kind of focus in on, oh, here's the work that I've seen during the board meetings or received in Friday notes, and this is what the work should look like, and this is where we are. And so we did that for each one of the standards. And I could tell as we started moving through that some of the board members felt like it was a really big document. I even had a few say, are you sure you're okay with this? It seems like a lot. And then it was really that next learning of a comprehensive evaluation, seeing the district as a whole, and then allowing the board to have time to take those documents with them, follow up in Friday notes with links to the superintendent evaluation so that they could begin to learn on their own. On May 27th, we will have IASB come in and they're going to do a workshop with the board. And so we're gonna keep doing touch points to help our board members really grow in their knowledge around the evaluation tool. I by no means believe that we're gonna be really experts at this anytime soon, but we're gonna learn together and go through the journey together. And I think that the board started to feel comfortable as they had more time and could clearly see that we could document where we are right now as a school district and where I am as a leader.
What were some of your thoughts as Dr. Murillo introduced these standards to you and the other members of the board?
Well, initially, I think Dr. Murillo mentioned the feeling of being overwhelmed. And I would say that was the initial feeling when we first reviewed the document, simply because it's so comprehensive. But once I dug in, and I think all of the board members feel this way, and really learned as much as we could about each of the 10 standards, I was relieved to see that they're so student focused. There's just so much about instruction, student well-being, student achievement, and equity, which are all things that, as Dr. Murillo mentioned previously, as a board, we are very focused on. So after we got over that kind of initial review and started to really understand the 10 standards and how the tool could be used in an evaluation, I think we were all very pleased and excited about moving forward with utilizing this as our new tool for evaluating the superintendent.
What's different about this tool and how you developed goals with the board this year?
The board can see the work not only on the academic side and school improvement, but they can also look at what we're doing around culture and equity and management. And so they're looking at all 10 of the standards. And us being able to talk about what our goals are. Before this tool, the board was really looking at the 4 goals, strategic goals that we had for the district. And of course that included student achievement, college and career readiness. It also included facilities, and then we looked at social and emotional learning. But that was kind of where we stopped, and instead of being able to see the district as a whole. The other piece that I really like about this tool is the thread line that's going to run between the principal tool, central office, and then the superintendent. And so from that, if we're saying in our district, and we have the saying, schools are at the center of our work. And if schools are at the center of our work, then what is important and occurring at the principal level should be what we can identify at the central office level, and then certainly should be the work of the superintendent. And then that way that we're all in the same group, rowing in the same direction, and we all have that same focus. And it's a laser-like focus. It's improving academic achievement. It's creating a good instructional environment that really takes into consideration the social and emotional learning of our students, and then also the culture of our schools. And so I'm really excited to see how this tool can help our district move to that next level, and allow us then to set our goals and really have that kind of cohesive feel around the work.
Mr. LaFerla, what's different about this tool in terms of how you will engage Dr. Murillo in goal setting for next school year?
Well, Dr. Murillo is exactly right. The tool will allow us to really focus on the district as a whole. Our previous method for evaluating the superintendent was really focused on execution of the strategic plan and achievement of goals, which is important, but these 10 standards really give us a much more comprehensive look at the role of the superintendent in leading the district. And we'll be able to roll our strategic goals into this evaluation tool. So I think by using the standards and developing our language for what is effective and what isn't, is not only going to be allow us to take a more comprehensive look at the school district, it's also going to make it much easier for the board to come to agreement on the areas that we think Dr. Murillo needs to focus more time on. So goal setting will become a little bit easier, but also it's going to allow us to give Dr. Murillo what I think will be much more valuable and actionable feedback on where the board would like to see her focus more time and energy.
So Mr. LaFerla, what's your best piece of advice for leaders and board members as they begin their work using these standards?
I think my best piece of advice would be to spend time understanding the document first. It's a big document. It's probably very different from what boards are used to utilizing. So spend some time to understand how the 10 standards were developed, where they come from, and as a board, talk a little bit about how they might use the tool like we are planning to do, which is to develop a common understanding of what it really takes as a leader to manage a school district, and how they might be able to, instead of abandoning some of the old evaluation techniques that they were using before, use this tool and roll some of those things that they don't want to let go of into this new tool, which is something that we'll be doing as well.
Dr. Murillo, as you implement these standards, what's your best piece of advice for other superintendents and leaders in Iowa?
I would say, if I could offer advice, I would encourage them to take their time in unpacking the standards. Allow your board time to really dig in and gain an understanding, and also give yourself permission to learn how to use this tool, and to take the steps necessary to find what would best fit you in year 1 and in year 2 and year 3. Working with your board to talk through, to set your goals, this kind of gives you a document to work from, but it doesn't mean that it confines you in any way. You're now looking at your district as a whole, and you're now sitting down with a tool that we really haven't had before, that provides your board, as you say, I want to look at standard 4 with you, and you lay down standard 4 and they see the artifacts of each level. It gives you talking points, and they can now literally see it and be able to have start building a base of knowledge around it. And so instead of just saying a check yes or no, you are now providing them with the evidence to build that capacity as a board member, so that as they're out in the community and they're asked questions, they begin to speak about the district in a different manner than they've ever done before. It's not just about, facilities or how many kids are going to college and what that looked like. They're beginning to talk about their district in a whole different language. They know what's occurring. They know what the superintendent's focus is, and they know what they're looking for when they evaluate me. And I really love that, because I want my board to be able to stand up in our town hall meetings and have those conversations, and I just sit there, because that knowledge is coming from them because of the relationship and the capacity that we've been building as a team, that no longer it's about me, it's about us and us leading the district.
Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Really appreciate the work that you're doing here in the district.
Thank you.
Thank you.